Hello again, everyone. It's Abra, and I'm back to give my 2 cents on Gladiator 2. I just got out of the theater and thought I'd share some of my thoughts concerning the movie. First and foremost, I just want to say I try to go into this movie with an open mind. I know these days it's really easy to become jaded with all of the sequels and everything that Hollywood seems to be churning out. A lot of the movies just seem like they're just easy cash grabs and, just the lazy approach to making movies. Ridley Scott's had a lot of hits and some misses in his career, but I think for the most part, he's really honed the craft of filmmaking, and I think he did a pretty good job handling this film. People like to throw around the phrase that certain movies are not needed, unnecessary. I guess you could say that's pretty much true for any movie, really. It's just art. It doesn't need to be, but people are creating it. I guess the difference is, again, when Hollywood likes to kind of step in and just cash in on those easy sequels. This one was 24 years, I guess, in the making. In this story, it's supposed to be 16 years since Maximus gave his life in the Colosseum and took out Commodus, the evil emperor, in the hopes of realizing the dream that is Rome. You will hear that a lot in this movie.
There was once a dream that was Rome.
Marcus Aurelius had a dream that was Rome.
There was a dream that was Rome.
The dream that was Rome.
And they're still dreaming, apparently. So there's a scene in this movie, spoilers, where the audience is taken back to immediately after Maximus has been slain in the Colosseum. And you see Lucilla, she's worried about her son Lucius, because she knows that the transition is going to be very volatile. And since he is the living heir to the throne of the Roman Empire, Lucius will be at risk. So she makes the heart-wrenching decision to send him off in the hopes that he will be safe while Rome kind of stabilizes and there's no longer that grave threat against his life. Well, unfortunately, 16 years passes. He ends up in northern Africa being raised by an African kind of king there. And they're kind of like the last bastion in Africa, or at least North Africa, that Rome hasn't taken. Anyway, Lucius ended up there and making a life for himself, and he feels like he's been abandoned by his mother. When the movie begins, the citizens in this city in northern Africa are called to defend against a Roman attack because Rome is once again continuing to try to expand its empire. Unfortunately, Rome has fallen into chaos, and these twin emperors have taken control. And they are very insane, very power hungry, and think if you had Commodus, had he survived and split into like Dumb and Dumber, this would be kind of like his inbred offspring, I would have to imagine. I'm not really sure where they came from, like whose offspring they're supposed to be, but they're just so unhinged and so unstable that everyone in the Senate and the surrounding people that have a little bit of power at Rome are afraid to do anything against them. They're trying to expand the Roman Empire, get more power for themselves, and they don't really care about the citizens or who has to die in that process. During the battle, which is being led by, I forget his Roman name, but Pedro Pascal, he plays a general that was kind of similar to Russell Crowe's character, Maximus. He does his duty for Rome, but his ultimate desire is to give Rome back to the people, and he's really just sick of all the needless death that occurs at the hands of, the whims of the people in power. While Lucius and his wife, now he's taken a wife, she unfortunately falls in battle. He is wounded, and he ends up in a story very similar to kind of what happens to Maximus. He ends up being captured by the Roman soldiers and essentially sold into slavery. So you do see that kind of mirroring of Maximus's story. There'll be more callbacks to the first Gladiator movie. There's lots of similarities. There's side stories going on with Denzel Washington's character, who happens to play the power-hungry and very ambitious former slave and now kind of gladiator owner. Fit his Roman. It's really hard to keep all these Roman names together, but Denzel Washington's character, he just has grand dreams, and Rome is the one place, he says, where I was brought here as a slave, but I could rise to the ranks of emperor.
I'm just here for the games.
And it's really interesting how Denzel plays him. I think he did a really good job, because at first you're not really sure, is this somebody you can trust? You see all the gears and everything that are kind of turning in his head. He has all these little plans and little machinations and everything at play. And he's just really good at playing that kind of slippery, you're not sure what angle he's trying to take, but he did really well with that. He's one of those characters that you kind of come to love to hate. So you have the story, you have Denzel Washington that's kind of scheming and plotting, and then you have Lucius that is kind of following the fate of Maximus. You'll find some more connections there between his mother and Maximus and Commodus and all that. Where this movie, I think, really shined is Ridley Scott really has a knack for filming the different action scenes. Every action scene was pretty much interesting to watch. And I loved the various battles in the main Colosseum and even in the outside of Rome, the little rinky-dink Colosseum. The main character, Lucius, who's played by Paul Mescal, he was really good. I felt like everyone did a good job in their roles. The two guys that were supposed to play the Emperor brothers were quite good at playing the crazy. I think Paul Mescal as Lucius did a really good job of getting everyone from seeing Lucius as this annoying little boy that got poor Maximus killed because he was, just yapping his gums.
I'm Maximus, the savior of Rome.
The savior of Rome.
Paul Mescal did a really good job of portraying Lucius grown up, hardened, having to face the harsh realities of life and fighting for his life. The effects, for the most part, are okay. I know for animal safety and actor safety, they can't bring in the real wild animals to interact with the actors. Where I really had an issue was early on when Lucius first has to fight in a gladiator battle. We see these, I guess, baboons or something released, and the one baboon kind of looked like a hybrid of a dog baboon. It was very strange looking and kind of jarring because it was glaring that it was CG. It kind of comes across as cartoonish a little bit. The story overall, while it does retread a lot of the themes in the first movie, I think with the addition of Denzel Washington's scheming character, that added an extra layer there, and we see some complications that are kind of brought to Lucius's life when he discovers his mom again and the relationship she is currently involved in. I was entertained. I say, are you not entertained? I was entertained. One of the things that made the first Gladiator movie so memorable was the terrific score by Hans Zimmer. And for this movie, they did get somebody else to craft the score. You do hear nods to the original Hans Zimmer Gladiator theme a little bit in there, so it kind of pays tribute to it. I wouldn't say that this new score had any standout numbers that you would you'd hear it playing and go, oh yeah, that's from Gladiator 2. Going back to the story, it does have a complete ending, but it does leave it open, I think, for a third movie, should they choose to show Lucius trying to battle to get Rome back to the people. I think I heard where Ridley Scott was asked, would you make a third one? And his answer was something along the lines of, why wouldn't I? The determining factor, will this movie make money? I hope people see it. It is one of those popcorn theater movies, not so much as epic as the first one. It still feels impressive to see it on the big screen. And so if you have the opportunity, I would definitely say it's worth a watch in the theater. Really, my only complaint with the movie is it does kind of tread a lot on the themes of the first movie. It's a continuation of the story. It is Gladiator 2. But I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I could see why some people are jaded these days and they just want to say, well, this movie was completely unnecessary and a waste of time. That's fair if that's how you see it. For me, I go to movies to be entertained, and this did the job. I would say this one is probably maybe a 7.5 out of 10 for me. My barometer for whether I consider a film worthy or not is would I watch it again? And yes, I would watch this one again. Those are my 2 cents on Gladiator 2. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take care.
Strength and honor.